Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly meltdowns live draft. I don't even know what to call this. A little think tank, if you will. Um, I have
This is
Beth with
definitely a
me.
TED Talk.
Yeah, definitely. And so basically, what we're doing tonight on this very late Sunday evening is, we've been talking about just for like a few minutes on the show about like here and there, like, oh, Survivor 50, like Jeff did confirm that it's going to be all returnees and um, what's it going to be like? What's the format? Who's going to be cast? Should it be legends? Should it be like second chances? Like all of this stuff, right? And you and I have been like talking back and forth about it just a little bit, but like wanting to save it for a proper show because like this is a big deal, right? Like this is the first time we're kind of in a drought for new returnee seasons, right? Like the last one we had was Winners at War. And that was like all winners, like that wasn't even open to everybody. So the last time we've had like a proper all returnee season where anybody could be cast was Survivor Game Changers. And we feel like we could do a better job at casting a season with a theme than how Survivor Game Changers went.
That's
so we
right.
figured like we would use this opportunity to talk about what we want for Survivor 50, make the rules and parameters for like this Survivor 50 draft that we're about to do, cast the draft, and then next week we will be playing out the Brantsteele to see who is the eventual winner of Survivor 50. So Beth, I want to hear from you. Like, how are we structuring this? Like, what have we come up with?
So, this is going to be a really fun Brantsteele.
Yeah.
Because season 50, the way that we're going to do it is going to be amazing. So, formatting. These are some of the things that we have to keep in mind. Tyler and I agreed that we really want a second chance this season. So, we will be building up this cast as people who we want to have a second chance. Further clarifying with that, they have to be people strictly from the casts of Heroes versus Hustlers versus Healers. Blah, so
Survivor 35.
Survivor 35. All the way through the new seasons, obviously excluding Winners at War. And
Yes.
the way that we're going to do this is make sure that when we are going through, we've also created a theme, because one of the best themes that people talk about all the time was heroes versus villains. But we got to do it in a modern Survivor twist. There has to be 3 tribes. So I introduced the idea of having Survivor second chances, heroes versus villains versus vigilantes. Bum, 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 bum. And so here's the plan, guys. Heroes, we all know who they are. They're people who are beloved by both production, the edit, and the audience at home. Villains, these are the people who maybe the audience doesn't vibe with the most, or we think that they play in a cunning and evil way, or maybe they've made a lot of waves personally. I don't know. There's going to be all those different kinds of things. And then vigilantes, obviously being the new tribe format here. This is for those that we think, I don't know, they got a little hero in them, they got a little villain in them. They're the people who maybe don't work well with others because they're a vigilante, they work on their own. Maybe they're the people who have had kind of, you could see where their strategic prowess was, but they were lacking in social skills, or vice versa. And you think one more time out, they can be their own best asset. Similar to like a Tony, for example.
Yeah. I kind of thought of vigilantes as like the really like offbeat characters.
Yes.
Like that weren't like heroes or villains. Like people that kind of like went against the grain, like the no collar tribe from Survivor
Worlds Apart.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Yes, exactly. The vigilantes could be the people that, they're going against.
That's how I took it anyway.
Yeah, no, they're going against the grain. So they could be people who we like for character reasons. They could be people that we like for strategic reasons that just didn't pan out. But we thought, hey, if it had, they would have been great. But it fizzled before them. They could be people who were really good in the confessional and nothing else.
Yes.
So
Another aspect to this that we thought would make it a little bit more fun of a show is each of us are going to have, and I wanted to talk about this live on air with you. So I came up with the idea of each of us having a hidden immunity idol. So if
yes.
Beth picks somebody that I cannot stand, I do not want on this cast, I can use my idol to veto her pick or veto where I think like tribe placement, right? So like if she drafts Q and she puts Q on the heroes tribe, I'm gonna use my idol to be like, Beth, like I love Q, but like I don't think he belongs on the heroes tribe. So like she can still use Q for villains or vigilantes, but just like vetoing like him being on that tribe, or we can veto just like the character at all, right? So like we're gonna have some fun. I wanted to see like, should we keep it with one idol, or like should we give ourselves two or three, like one for each tribe?
I think we get two idols, one to veto a character and one to veto a tribe,
Okay.
and that's it.
Okay.
So why
Gotcha.
don't we
Gotcha.
call
Gotcha.
one? Ooh, what if we call one an immunity idol, and then one like a what's the power veto? Call it like a power veto or something like that.
Okay.
So veto, you're getting rid of the person completely as a nominee, just like you would off the block. They're completely off
Okay.
the block. Immunity idol, you're saving that person from the tribe that they're going on, and making them having person reassess. So they have to use them, but they have to use them in the villains or vigilantes if they chose heroes, for example.
Yes. Yes. Cool. I guess like one more question before we get started. So, like you and I were talking a little bit beforehand about like, you know, we were going through the cast, like making our short list of like hero men, hero women, villain women, like that kind of thing. Was there any category that you found the toughest for putting people in? Or did you have like pretty equal?
I actually struggled to find villains, but I had enough for what our purposes were. So I was like, this could work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I also think the word villain has been thrown around and over the past like year in particular, of making it sound like, oh, they're like always these
them. Like they're not there. Yeah.
Hates them, or like we miss villains, and then it's like everybody that people say that they miss would like get canceled if they were on a current season. So it's like, okay, what are we doing here, right? So those kind of things, I think keeping that in mind was difficult. And I think part of this too that I think was, I don't know if you had this, but I try to be very cognizant of potential implicit biases or something happening. And I wanted to make sure that it made sense that, like, was I being cognizant of every single time there was a villain? Was it a woman of color, for example?
Sure.
And with casts being way more diverse, it's more likely that you're going to have characters that fill those spots and everybody can agree. But I also wanted to make sure, like, am I inserting a bias here? Or is this something that we can insert, like, hey, maybe there was an edit bias, the cast had a bias, the fan base has a bias or whatever. So I thought that was interesting. And I lastly wanted to say, to answer that question that I want you to answer it, of course, I'm sorry. The last thing that I thought I wanted to make sure was say, like, for the rules of how we're picking these different categories, is that we have to make sure that at least two of the picks in any category are from different genders. So if you chose like somebody who's a man, you could choose somebody who's non-binary. You could choose somebody who's a woman, something like that. But you have to have at least two different genders represented. You can't just be like, I'm going to do, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm probably gonna like I know what you're saying, like so like we're gonna keep it to like 3 men and 3 women as much as possible, but if there's a non-binary person in replace of like a man or a woman, like it might skew like just ever so slightly, but yeah, we're gonna try to keep it as
I just wanted to say like with keeping biases and such in mind, I wanted to make sure that we were being, equitable and inclusive with
Of course, like
the way that we
we're
think
not
about
going to say,
gender and all those kind of things,
right. We're not going to say like we're not casting Evie just because like they don't fit into a gender role. You know
Oh
what
my
I
God,
mean?
we
Like
would
that's
never. And I also have always just really struggled with the idea that like Evie, well, I mean, I guess part of this was due to timing of different parts of their journey, but it's always like Evie was like a woman. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
like it's one of those things where you're like, well, Evie's not a woman.
yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah. Right.
it's one of those things that I'm not saying that you have to then always replace a guy and have Evie and a woman, for example. This is an
Yeah,
example. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is like if we think of it as like, hey, we have to have different genders rather than one or the other, it kind of opens up our language and the way that we can talk about gender. Anyway, that was a
sure.
sociology and gender studies course with Beth Dixon.
And just for like visual optics, like I think the first three for each of these tabs are going to be like traditional men, and then
Okay.
like the last three are like traditional women, like just
Yeah.
so like if we're like bopping around, like we're kind of keeping an eye on like
Mm-hmm.
keeping it even as much as possible. Cool. And we're doing this Jeopardy style in that like I can pick like a hero man, or like Beth can pick like a vigilante woman first. Like we're not going in any kind of order except for just like taking turns bopping back between the two of us, if you will. So with that being said, Beth, you are the reigning Survivor draft champion.
I
Congratulations.
am. Thank you so much.
So you have the first pick on the board, and I'm so excited to see like what
Oh
starts us
my
off here.
God. And I apologize. I was just texting a student. I just wanted to say, and one of my
No, you're
students had
good.
a
You're good.
loss today, and I just wanted
Wait,
to.
yeah. No, sorry, I just had like another rule like idea in mind.
Oh,
But that
okay.
was
No, I just
so
wanted
rude
to
of me
say
to
like.
interrupt that.
I just want to say like I'm just dedicating the show to that student, and I don't think that there's a world that they're watching this, especially right now. But I just want to say I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
But
I guess like should we allow ourselves like at the very end of this to have one more swap of a character if we want, like looking at the whole board and being like, looking at
I
all of
think
this
you have to
together
use.
now.
What if you have to use either your leftover idol or veto in order to do that? If you have one left over,
I think we will use them regardless. I don't see them being
I don't.
left over.
I actually think. I think you and I are too much alike, and I think we're going to have very similar casts.
All right, we'll see. We'll look at it after it's done
Yeah.
and be like, all right, any changes? Yeah. Cool. And also, like, please feel free to tag along in the chat with us. I want to hear what you guys would pick too. But Beth, go ahead, give us your first pick.
This to me was one of the most obvious. I'm going for my first person who is a villain. It is a man, and he goes by the name of Dominic from Ghost Island.
Right.
In my opinion, Dominic and Wendell played a game that very much antagonized everybody else against them, but they ultimately worked in their favor. I think that Dom was kind of seen as the person who was like more of the strategist. It was more of the person who seemed more cutting and cunning, versus I think Wendell had a little bit more of the charm offensive. And so I think Dominic has everything of the grit of the game to get in there and be, first of all, an incredibly savvy player, but do so in a way where he doesn't care if he's making friends or not.
Yeah. I think this is an excellent first pick. Like, if anybody like fits the theme of like a second chances season from 35 and up, it's of course the person that lost in the only tiebreaker final tribal council vote in Survivor history, right?
Yeah.
He totally deserves to have a second chance. So I think this is a great way to kick it off. And I think the placement of it in villains is great too. So no complaints from me.
Woo-hoo.
I'm also going to start in the villains category here with the first woman on the board. Y'all know I love some good Chrissy Hoffbeck, and I
was like, was gonna give her to you for sure.
She for sure is like one of the most, if not the most, robbed final tribal council like losers of all time. Like Chrissy played such an incredible game, and I think of her as a hero, but I feel like the show thought of her as like a villain to Ben, and somebody that was like just really playing like balls to the wall. And I think that if she were to be brought back, I think they would like paint her in like a more villainous than heroic light. So my first pick is Chrissy Hoffbeck. What do you think of that?
I think it's a great one. And I think that she's also very much fits the idea of a villain. I
Yeah.
think that and a lot of that is given who she is, which is a like mother figure and was of that age. And I think that she is very much a victim of the idea that mothers can't be badasses. Well, now we've had some pretty badass women who are moms over the past few seasons. Now, one of them just very infamously fell into the same issue with Maria.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that we have some women who have been able to prove that this format and where we are as a fan base is much more accepting of strong CEO women bosses. And I think you're absolutely right that if Chrissy's going to come back, she's going to come back and not give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. I would love to see her back. And I feel like she would do it too. Sorry, I'm just getting giddy at the thought of that.
No, I love it.
All right, let's hear your next pick.
So do you want to go, or do we want to go like snake style or no? It doesn't really matter, right? It's just right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think we should get out of the villains for a second, and I think we should go elsewhere. So I want to go to a hero, and for me, this is like a very obvious hero figure, which is Christian from David versus Goliath. I love playing games with Christian. He's a lot of fun. Even though I was very tempted to actually put him in Vigilantes, I stuck with heroes because I do think that ultimately, if he does do anything that's really incredibly brainy and smart and strategic, like people don't think of it in a vigilante way because it's kind of like within who you expect him to be, if that makes sense. Whereas we don't expect the mom character to be like that or that kind of thing. We expect Christian to be like that. So when he lives up to those wonderful things that he does, then we all applaud and laud him. And I think he absolutely deserves that. And I would love to see him on, I don't see anybody who wouldn't love to have him on Survivor 50.
For sure. He would be like totally a fan favorite. Like he would fit that like super fan, like nerdy archetype that like I feel like a lot of people on my short list do not have. Like I feel like that archetype is like the Cochrane archetype is kind of underrepresented in the new era, if that makes sense. So I think like that is great. Like whenever I think of Christian on Survivor, I think of him like talking for hours on that immunity challenge and like Alex's face just being so annoyed at that. Christian will always give you good TV and will like explain it so well. So I think this is a very safe, good pick.
Yeah. All right. What do you got? What you got?
Let's see. I want to give us our first vigilante.
Ooh.
And I think I have to do Carolyn Wiggler first for vigilante.
I think that that's such an obvious vigilante. Absolutely.
like she is just, I mean, like it's Carolyn. Like I think she is like the face of the new era. So if they are like, there's no way that Carolyn is not on Survivor 50, regardless of what the theme is.
Right.
I think like she is like the safest bet out of like anybody on the board to come back. And I don't care that she was just on the Traders 3. I don't think that impacts her chances of going on Survivor 50 at all.
If anything, she wants to go back, they'll have her back. Why they want her back.
Yeah.
You know?
And also like, I don't want to see Carson back. So I feel like she is a good representation of like the Tika 3. And just like her story is so like unique as well. And also I love the first 4 picks that we have are all like older players, like in age compared to like a lot of like the new kids, right? So
and 3 of them are from before 40. So I want you to know that your mic did a weird thing when you said, yeah, it went like, "Nah." It was really funny. To me, at least that's what it sounded like.
Well, you're welcome for that.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, you got the next pick.
Do I leave the people I think that you want to say?
I
Because
want you
that's
to
what
pick.
makes this fun.
Yeah, like
But
of course,
because
like
they don't get picked and then I'm gonna be mad.
I want you to pick who is like your dream cast for these roles. Like,
Okay.
don't worry about me whatsoever.
For villains, my number one woman draft is not Chrissy, but it is Angelina from
Yeah.
Oh my God, David versus Goliath. My God, I can't, that's the second time I've struggled on it. Angelina was everything that like was not what anybody wanted. And that's why she was so good as television. Like they didn't want the lawyer, but they got it anyway. They didn't want her to make the plans, but she did it anyway. They didn't want her to talk to Jeff. You did it anyway. They didn't want her to talk to Natalie. She did it anyway. Like she is somebody that does not care. And I was tempted to put her as a vigilante as well. Because I was like, is she a villain? But I was also like, she didn't get any votes at that final tribal. And a lot of it came from people who just didn't respect how well she really navigated the game. And I think that coming back where people have now seen her, they know that she's stronger. And I think that she would play up the like, well, if I'm not likable, I don't care aspect.
Yeah. I mean, Chrissy, or not, sorry, Angelina is just like such an obvious pick, right? Like she, I'm gonna say it. I would have voted for her at the final tribal council. I think she played a great game, like better than fucking Nick Wilson, that piece of shit.
I think you know what when I watched it the first time, I felt like Angelina or Nick should have won. And then I watched it a second time, and after you know all the aspects and you're not watching it week to week and you watch it all at one time, Nick did nothing. It was all the other Davids that did everything, and he always got the credit for shit that he didn't do.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap. But what happened was that nobody was giving Angelina credit for the stuff that she did, which is also a flaw in her game. So why she doesn't deserve it. And so upon a second watch, I thought Mike White should have won.
See, like, I agree with that, but like, I just like, I couldn't sit there and vote for somebody who has that much money.
And I think that's more than accurate, fair. That's
especially because like, you know, Angelina, like one of her first confessionals that season, right, was her saying, women are so underestimated in this game, and I want to change that. And I feel like she did change that. Like like she had such an impact on that season, and she was entertaining as hell, messy as hell. Like she kind of like this reference will probably go over your head, but like she reminds me of Sabrina from BB Can 2. Like the one that was like, is this what you want? Is good TV? I don't know if you've ever seen that clip.
I haven't, no.
Like, just like Hot Mess Express, but like also playing like a really balls to the wall, like social game. I don't know. I love Angelina. I could go on and on and on about her.
Absolutely.
And star of the White Lotus season 2.
Yes, her and Kara.
Yes, exactly.
No,
all right.
Season 1? Season 2.
Season 2. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go to hero women. Who do you think I'm picking for this?
I have 2 ideas. The first is one that I feel like most people think about, given the circumstances, and that's Kelly Kim. The other one, oh, man. I talked myself out of it. Yeah, I guess I'll go for Kelly.
Well, wait, it's my pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am torn between Kelly Kim and this other person, but I feel like this other person has to be first because she was just so iconic in like a lovable underdog way. I have to give it to Emily Flippin first before I consider Kelly Kim.
Okay, I'm using the immunity idol. She's not a hero.
You don't consider Emily a hero?
No, she is absolutely a vigilante, but go for it.
I think she just had such like a great like rootable underdog story, like especially in like pre-merge, like how kind of like ostracized she was like from the Yellow Tribe and how much like
Mhm.
Caleb really took her under her wing. And then like all of this stuff like at the auction was like really cute. I don't know. I feel like America loved Emily as like this big underdog. Like remember at the RHAP event, like how much like roaring applause that Emily got when she was voted out, and we got to see that live in front of like a huge audience.
Okay,
I don't
but
think
what you
anybody
missed
else would have gotten that praise.
was in the beginning of the season when we had the RHAP event in New York City, people like actively booing her. So
Okay.
what I guess I'm saying is that her story isn't a traditional hero story in the sense that like, oh, and then she was amazing. It's like she was amazing the entire time
Yeah.
because she was an amazing villain, and then the people she relied on, it's like she lost the thing that was making her stay in the game, which was once she started trying to do the thing, it like
Yeah.
tanked her game. So it's better to say, ooh, I think upon a return, she would be somebody who would be able to use how to make those social relationships that she learned last time,
Yeah.
but not be as compromising as she was.
Okay.
And
All right.
and I don't think that that's villainous, but if she did it only how she did in the very
I
beginning of the
would I would
season,
not classify her as a
I
villain.
don't think she's
Like
a villain, but I think she's a vigilante. But
a
anyway,
vigilante.
that is just my thoughts.
No, so like your thoughts are totally valid. So you are using your like you think this is worthy of using your immunity idol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well,
So
yeah, I
think
do.
about it.
No.
Final answer.
No, I guess not. I mean,
You only have one. You see what I
I'm
mean?
gonna
Like
yeah, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it because I'm gonna be honest with you. Like the more that I'm thinking about it now, like I can absolutely see the hero thing. I just think that she would play better if she went into the game thinking, "Oh, I'm a vigilante." You know what I
plus,
mean?
we also have to think about like tribe dynamics as we're like adding these in. I feel like Christian and Emily on the same tribe would be
Iconic.
so fun to watch, right?
Oh, for sure.
So are
Okay. Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
okay?
I'm gonna
Okay, all right,
revoke. I'm gonna
all
revoke it.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, how do I spell her name? Flippin. Okay. Cool. Emily Flippin on the board.
Excuse me. All right.
All right, your turn. I'm giving you your idol back.
Thank you. Okay.
This is so tough already.
Ah.
Like
Okay.
I'm looking at the villains women and I'm like, there's one person that I think deserves this spot, but I feel like you love another person that you would want more.
So
You look sorry, go ahead.
so maybe you
I'm
have to
trying to
use
get in
your
your
power
head.
of veto. Yeah,
Maybe.
well, that's what I'm thinking about doing right now because I've got 3 people that I would love for the villain woman role,
Yeah.
and I want to see if you'll go with it.
Do you feel comfortable listening? Also, you don't have to pick a villain woman. Like we can save this
I know, no,
battle for
no.
another
This
day.
is the strategy of us, though. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be the one who says it, and is the other person just going to have to concede and go, yeah, or do we use our power thing? I'm gonna go ahead and say I want Shan as the last villain.
Okay. All right. That was who I was hoping you would pick. But I was scared for her. I was scared that you were gonna pick Carla instead, and I was
No,
ready to use my
no,
veto
no,
on her.
no, 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 no. I wanted Shan. Can I tell you the other people I was thinking for villain, or should we wait until?
Sure.
Actually, no. Let's wait until the end and say. Did you have a short list for everything?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let's
Let's
share
save
what our
that.
short lists were
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Love
Yeah.
that. Okay, cool. So Shan, that one get no arguments from me, but give us the pitch on why Shan.
Well, so here's the thing. I think that Shan represents exactly what a villain should be, which is somebody who purposely is playing in a way that is contrary to who they are because they're using manipulation tactics, they're using social prowess, they're using whatever. So if the nerd, for example, comes up with something smart, like we said, that's in line. And when it goes well, we want to root for him. When it's somebody who's like a nice nerd kind of person, right? Christian. When the mother does like an incredibly strong job and like does super well and she's like superwoman, we all applaud her and blah 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 blah. When The preacher comes on the show and tries to play very duplicitously, and I
The
didn't say that
preacher of
word
color,
correctly. A preacher of
more
color
so.
who had, I think, a foster care background, like where
Yep.
somebody who comes into this mix and says, I am going to put my faith and my preachings to the side because I know my faith is strong enough and this is just a game. And I'm going to play to win. And I'm going to turn on Friends. And I'm going to actively hum little theme songs for when I'm making my little
She got
plans.
her own theme music. Like
We have
that
theme
deserves a
music.
return.
And when people think about villains, and even when they're complaining, the people say, the only villain I can really think of in the new era was Shan, and I wouldn't even necessarily call her a villain.
Yeah.
Everybody says that, so I feel
Yeah.
like Shan has to be on the list.
Okay. No, I totally agree. And her and Ricard together were such a like villainous duo as well.
Mm-hmm.
A spoiler alert, like Ricard is not gonna be somebody I pick. Like I think Shan represents like the both of them together enough, and like it's already so tough, right?
Yeah.
So with that, like the three villain women that we have right now are Chrissy, Angelina, and Shan, and I think that's perfect.
I think it's great because it's also a good mixture. Part of I'm trying to make these legitimate tribes and
Yeah.
think about what are people's prowesses going to be in challenges as well. Like, do
Mhm.
we have enough people who can solve puzzles, who are physical, who are
Yeah.
good team contributors, who have loud voices for if you have to yell, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
So those are things.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose Q Burdett for the first male vigilante.
Cool.
I think Q needs no explanation for why he deserves like a spot on this cast and a spot on vigilantes, right? Like
Yeah.
this dude just caused so much chaos on Survivor 46 from literally the first day up until he was voted out, and like even at the final tribal council, the man was just so unhinged in the best way. I feel like Q is a better version of Tony.
Yeah.
You get what I mean by that? Like we get all
Yes.
the entertaining like aspects out of Tony, but like it's just more fun and less like all consuming.
I'm
Does that
gonna
make
tell
sense?
you what the difference is.
Tell me.
Tony does shooting from the hip with some level of understanding people and reading
Okay.
people.
Yeah.
Q thinks he is planning, but is shooting from the hip.
Yeah. Okay. I totally see that.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think you think of Tony's a cop and he knows how to read people. So he appears like he's shooting from the hip, but he knows exactly what he's doing. Q thinks that he knows exactly what he's doing, but he's actually shooting from the hip.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. Yeah. I would be so, and then like Q and Carolyn on the same tribe would just be so. I would love to see this tribe. Like I can't wait to see the Vigilantes tribe finish for us because I feel like that is going to be the fun hot mess tribe.
Hot mess. Okay, well,
go ahead.
I think that's a great pick, and I completely agree. I went back and forth between villain and vigilante with him, and I ultimately landed on vigilante because I feel like he had the opposite of Shan. I feel like where people started to not like Shan over time, I think people started to like Q a lot more over time because he was just so like, wow, whatever, I'm just going to do this or whatever. And I think that's when you end on a note where people really like you and find you iconic, and even if things weren't super planned out or whatever, that's pretty good. So, okay. So it's my turn. I would like to choose another hero, and I think I'm going to go.
Can I guess? Can I guess who you're going to pick?
Sure.
I think you're going to pick Omer.
No.
No? Okay. I don't know why. As soon as you said hero, I was like, I bet she's going to pick Omer. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was going to pick Omer, but for a vigilante.
Well, we'll have that convo if you decide to go there.
So just saying. No, I'm going to go with Austin from 45. I think that
Or hero
Austin.
men.
Yep. I think Austin represents somebody who has essentially has all the like good American boy aspects that people like you think of the Xanders and that kind of thing. I think Austin is a better Xander. Like his fatal flaw was being too loyal to the girl he had a crush on in the game. And
Yeah.
like I think that had he played a little bit more shrewdly like she did and a little bit more cutting, he very easily could have beaten D at the end. But because she got the upper hand, because she did what he couldn't do, that's what happens. So I think because of that, he wasn't going to. He basically gave up his game for the girl, essentially, right?
Sure.
And I do think he played a great game. I think he had a really good alliance with the ultimate winner. I think that they made decisions together. I think he was a good strategic and social player, but he's also a physical threat. To me, he's like the perfect quote unquote survivor package.
I think this is the first pick that I would consider vetoing.
Mm-hmm. I would love to know who you would put in instead.
Yeah. Should I just like reveal? Wait, so I don't pick who, like you would then pick again.
I pick again. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think like the slots are so limited, right? Like I just when I think of like survivor heroes, right? Like I think Austin played too passively, or not passively, but like his presence on 45 feels too passive to be one of the three like hero slots.
I so disagree with that.
Mm.
He got a lot of love and praise. Like you heard the people going crazy for him and people going crazy for him and D and people doing all that stuff. And I really feel like it wasn't until the second to last episode that people really thought that Austin could be the one that undoes D's game,
Yeah.
or vice versa. He had a lot of social capital. He had a lot of physicality. Like he was not going anywhere. And he had all those
like
idols.
He was the total package, right? Like it's like his resume, like his story, like his connection with D was all great. He just didn't leave a big impact on me.
So that's so funny because I do think that a lot of people say that he is one of the best men that come out of the 40s. So that's where I was also going. I was like, hey, you got, I'm kind of looking at the heroes tribe going, okay, we got Christian. If we get Austin, then we leave this kind of interesting, who's it going to be? We got the like jock, romantic, nice guy, and we got the nice guy who's a smarty pants nerd. So that's
true.
Anyway.
I want to like add a little pin in our like veto rules that like, I think at any point we can veto any one of these picks, and whoever like we know. So like
you have to do it at the end. That's what I was saying. I think that if you have stuff left over, use it at the end.
Okay. All right.
So that's where part of the strategy comes in is, do I want to do it now or do I want to see the general makeup at the end?
Sure.
Or if I keep everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Dang, that throws me for a loop. And then like Austin and Emily are on the same tribe, so we have like two 45ers on the same tribe. I don't know. I'm thinking about that.
Think about heroes versus villains and how many people played the same seasons with.
I know. Yeah.
Like, that were on the same tribe.
But that was a problem.
I mean. But I think it was also what made some of the drama amazing, because then the people who weren't on the tribes together were actually the ones who were in control.
True. You're right. Okay. I think I want another vigilante woman. And I feel like you're not going to like this pick. But like her presence on her season was just so undeniable. I was a big fan of like her, like watching her during the season. I think she's had a pretty rough, like problematic off season in the Twitter fandom afterwards. But like, I loved her on this season. until she got voted out, and she just had like she was so powerful, but she was just so like on her own. I'm gonna put Drea as a vigilante woman.
Yeah,
How do you feel about that?
I'm gonna veto that choice.
Okay.
I don't think that there's a prayer that she goes back on the show.
Okay.
That's the reason why. If are we trying to like say like realistically who's coming or no? Because I was going into realism, but if we're not doing that, then go for it. The reason why I'm saying no is because she got in a lot of trouble for stuff she said in the
Yeah.
postseason with
Oh, I
some
know. I
BS.
know. Yeah.
So I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm vetoing, is because if we only have so many spots, are we being
Okay.
realistic, or are we just putting together our fantasy like this is going to be just fun? Because if it's that, I'm all on board for
I
Drake.
think you and I can use whatever logic we want to. Like you can interpret that power veto however you want to. If Drea feels like the weight of that is important enough to use the power veto on, then go for it.
I do, and I don't know that I would have put her as a vigilante either.
Okay. Yeah, like the argument was weak, but like I don't consider her a hero, and like the villains are all taken.
Here's the nice thing is that you're like, okay, I threw that out there, and Beth took the bait, and now her veto is gone. So now you know all of your shit.
There was no strategy involved in that. I truly wanted Drea on this cast, but I like the way that you're thinking.
Yes, I'm just trying to help.
All right, I will. I'll do a vigilante man then.
Okay.
This person, I personally could not stand, but like I can't. I can't deny him what he deserves on this list. I'm gonna put Rick Devens as a vigilante. I can't stand him, but like he was such a like presence of chaos in an otherwise like Dudley season. You know what I mean? And like he's a big like production favorite, so I know like he would get the call for Survivor 50. If we're vetoing Drea mainly because like she's been blacklisted, like let's go in the total opposite direction. Like I said, I don't like Rick Devens, but I think like he would be important enough of a...
Tyler wants to make it clear he does not like Rick.
I don't. I really don't. But I think like I'm trying to be fair.
No. Like, I know. I think you're being more than fair, but I think what's really funny about it is like every other sentence you were like, and for the record, I don't like him.
In case y'all missed it the million times I like bitched about it when we covered it. Yeah, no, I think Rick Devens deserves a slot, and I think he's too baboonish to be a villain. So I think he's better as a vigilante.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that I'm in agreement. I think that he fits the vigilante role super well. And it's almost made for the Rick Devens of the world.
I'll give you an opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If Ben hadn't won, he would be a vigilante.
Yes.
But the edit made him a hero.
Same energy.
But they because he won, he gets a hero's edit. But if he had lost, he would have been a vigilante edit.
Yes.
But the reality is everybody hates him, so he's actually a villain.
Yes, exactly.
It's one of those things. And Rick Devens is very much in the same place. So I think like fandom-wise, if like you're really into Survivor, you're not a big fan.
You're like, oh God, yeah.
Like, what a this guy.
I will give you the opportunity if you want to change your veto to veto Devens instead of Drea. I'll give you that. Okay.
No.
All right.
I'm in total agreement that he's a vigilante.
All right. Let's hear your next pick.
I'm gonna go for oh, damn it.
This is tough.
I think
do it.
I think I'm gonna go for a hero.
Okay.
And I am going to choose Noelle from 43. I think that Noelle has an incredible story, obviously, but like an incredible way of breaking what a woman has to act like to be a hero.
Yeah.
I think everybody wanted to root for her, not because she had one leg. Like, that's not the reason why. I think people wanted to root for her because she, like, actually, what did you say?
like not only did she keep up, but she like exceeded like
Oh,
so many
and,
other players
and not
that
just
season.
yeah, and not just physically. I'm not even talking about physically.
Yeah,
I think that people just thought, oh, she's going to be like the jock, and there's nothing else. And then we started to see just how incredibly brilliant she was, and then we thought, well, I don't know, is she going to be a little too biting? She had the perfect balance of being able to like just like a pro athlete can, that we only tend to give this pass to guys, which is like, I'm going to just tell you the facts of what is
yeah,
happening, but I'm also want you to know that I'm here with you. I'm a supporter. I'm used to getting constructive feedback and like being told that I'm doing something wrong and adjusting, and where she could do that, people like Venus could not, right?
yeah,
So I think that Noelle is super strategic in the way that I think like a person like Venus is strategic, but she can actually do the work. She used the advantage like in such a unique way that nobody like thought of, not even us at home. Like that was incredible. Like she did the damn thing. And I think when we think about modern survivor heroes, she just checks a lot of boxes. And I think that she
yeah.
would be a slightly outside pick that people would be like, oh yeah. Cause anytime we have any of these casts, like, do you think that people were really like, super excited about half of the villains and the villain tribe in 20? No, I think
Right.
that we got excited about them after we saw them all together. And I think that she's somebody that you put them in this group, it would be very entertaining.
Yeah. Okay. She was not on my short list, but I think it's a great pick, and I 100% support it. I was a big fan of Noelle that season, but my list of people from 43, oddly enough, like I have like 2 or 3 or 4 for like each season, but
Mm-hmm.
43, I had 5 people on my short list total. So with that, I was like, like I think I'm gonna leave Noelle off. I already have enough like 43
Yeah.
representation, but like I think this is a great like underdog pick. Also like really compliments. I feel like we're rounding out the heroes tribe very well with like
Mm-hmm.
big personalities, like athleticism. And like entertainment. Like I think this is a very good
Yeah.
tribe so far.
It's not going to
Um,
be like kind of like the, no offense, because I do love Tom, but like the I'm a firefighter
yeah,
heroes tribe. Like
buy
we
your
are
bootstraps.
heroes.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like the Colbys, like that old
yes,
school, like,
yeah.
mentality. Anyway, continue on.
All right. So I think this person um is a given for villains men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is the person that you consider like the best villain of the modern era, I think. I think you said that on the show at least. Jesse Lopez from Survivor 43, I think absolutely deserves to be here on
Mm-hmm.
this cast. And I'm sure you totally agree with me. Like
I do.
Jesse is one of the biggest characters of 43, easily the best player of 43. But he just had like such a compelling story that America fell in love with, and he has like the one of the most like villainous things you can do is just like totally backstab your best friend, like #1 alliance member, not even at the end, but like when he felt like he needed to go.
Yep.
And he looked Cody right in the eye when he did it, and he was like, I hope you can respect me. But like, damn, like villains like are not afraid to make those bold immoral moves if it gets them further in the game. And I think like Jesse represents that 100%. And I think he
I
would do
agree.
really well on a returning season as well.
Yeah.
I don't like, I think Jesse is like such a great character and a great villain for this cast.
I totally agree with everything you said. He's just great. He's great.
Um, all right. So let's hear it. Who's your next pick?
I'm going to put you in a really fun position.
Oh, God. Ah!
For my last pick for our villains tribe altogether,
Okay.
Carson from 44.
Like truly.
Truly.
Yeah, I'm gonna POV that. I don't think there's nobody I would want less on this cast than that grifter, that twink. Get him out of here. He's gone.
I purely
Bye.
did that as a strategic choice so that you would use your veto. But he really was on my short list.
Yeah,
So
I understand being on the short list, but like, get his
yeah.
nasty ass out of here.
So I'm going to put in another villain
Sure.
suggestion, which is Drew from 45.
Oh
Um,
God, I would veto that too.
well, you could use the immunity idol and have him become a vigilante instead.
I don't think he deserves a spot on this cast, to be honest. I don't think. I mean, like we already have Austin. Like of course we can't have Dee because she's the winner. I feel like Austin represents that
And plus, there's
alliance of
Emily and everything.
four.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. Like,
Okay. Okay. Fair. Fair. Then.
plus, like I think there's a fun like male vigilante or hero that could be from 45 also.
Mhm.
Um, that I would consider before Drew, like probably vigilante for this other person I'm thinking of.
Well,
Um,
then, my last suggestion to take that up is going to be Omer.
Omer for villain.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that's like way better. Of
I
course, it's
would
your pick,
never put him
but
as a hero, which is why I was so taken aback when you were like, "I think you're gonna say so and so." I was like, "What?" No, because I'm sorry. If anybody, you have to be able to think about what some of these people have been doing afterwards too. Omer is nothing. Honestly, Omer should probably be a vigilante, and I love Omer a lot. I love playing games with him, but he is an agent of chaos and he does it
mm,
to piss people off on purpose. And so that to me is more villainous. He's really obviously very
yeah,
smart, but a lot of people also really didn't like him on his season in the
yeah,
audience because they felt like he was underhanded to his friends in the same way that I feel like they were mad at, Shan and Ricard. I
yeah,
think that he got a lot of hate and it intensified after High got voted out.
yeah.
So I think Omer is a perfect kind of villain and he's a different season than 45.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think I was just watching like RHAP did a Survivor Jeopardy, and Omer was like digging at Shannon Gus like every chance he could get. And I was like, this is funny, but I was also like, if I were Shannon, like I'd be like, all right, enough is enough. So like I could see how Omer could
Yeah,
like fit in this like villains tribe as like kind of like a pot stirrer a little
for
bit.
sure. Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I think Omer like regardless of the tribe, like Omer is like definitely, and like of course he's an amazing player too, one of the
Oh
most
yeah.
brilliant survivor minds too.
I agree.
So just having like that level of strategy on the villains tribe worked out for the villains last time we had this. So
For
I
sure.
think I like he could be the Russell Hantz of this season, to be honest. Like of
Mhm.
course, like not problematic. Like I ain't saying that, but like just like a dominating like strategic villainous presence. I don't know.
I totally agree. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I am gonna. This is getting tough here.
I know.
Like, of course, looking at this, like I'm inclined to like pick the next like vigilante woman just to like balance things out here.
But then it
Um,
makes it so I make the last choice and yet another thing.
true. Um, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put Kelly Kim on the Heroes Tribe. I say on the show all the time, like if anybody deserves a second chance, and if anybody deserves the role of hero, it's somebody that stood up for women being sexually assaulted when even those women were not brave enough to do so. So like just for that alone, like she is a hero and deserves a second chance more than anybody because she threw her game away by voicing up these concerns
Yep.
about Dan. And for that action to be punished, I think is despicable on the people that did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's despicable how like production handled Kelly like as like the voice of it for like the reunion.
Mm-hmm.
I think like she is just like owed the second chance so much. So I'm gonna give Kelly her roses here.
I agree. I think that everything you said is exactly why all of us are saying beating the drum for Kelly.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go for vigilante,
Okay.
and I'm gonna go for a woman so that you have to also finish one of the other ones.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna go with Tiffany from 46
Okay.
as a vigilante. I think that she's somebody who very easily, I think people could have put her in the villains tribe based off of treatment of people in the earlier part of the season, but you can't deny, like, she went to bat in that jury for her
Yeah.
girl, and she won her the vote. Like, I mean, honestly, I think, like, yes, you could talk about the whole Maria of it all or whatever, but there were people who went to that tribal that, based off of her actions, like, voted for
Yeah.
what what's the name?
Kenzie.
Kenzie. Thank you. So, and I think that she's a strong player, and I think that having her and Q on the same tribe again would just be incredibly funny television. In the same way, like when we had like Dawn and what's his face, Cochran back on the same tribe and Fans versus Favorites too. I love the idea of Tiffany just coming back and being on this vigilante tribe because she is strong enough to do whatever she wants, and she's smart enough to make really good plays, except for playing an idol that's in your pocket.
Yeah. I also like with Q being on the same tribe as her here in the Vigilantes, like that's one instance of like same tribe, same season, like return dynamics I would be okay with, because there would be no trust, there would be no working together, and like this would just be the most chaotic.
Can
tribe
you
ever.
look at this tribe? Tiffany and Q fighting, Carolyn being like, "Ah!" and then having Rick Devens running around fighting that. And then Q being like, "We got to get out Rick Devens." And then he goes up to Rick Devens, and Devens is like, "I didn't do anything." Then he's like, "That's what I said, Carolyn. We got to get Carolyn." And then Tiffany's like, "I'm not fucking voting with you." And like, it's so great.
I would love it. Okay. So.
For the record, for those that are listening, we need one more vigilante woman, one more vigilante man, and one more hero man. Yeah. And then we both have immunity idols, which means that we could swap a tribe, which means we'd have to swap 2 people if we wanted. Or what we can do is come up with different rules after the case. But
okay, I'm gonna fill out the heroes tribe here. Mm-hmm. Not another one that I like, but I think it's like a fan favorite enough that like deserves like a slot here. Some would say he was robbed of final tribal council as well. I'm gonna put Xander Hastings on the heroes tribe. I think that like you have to think like us super fans are like the minority voice. I think that a lot of like casual fans still really love Xander and like really think that he should have won and like consider him like a hero on Survivor. I'm not locked into this, so like we can talk about it.
I want to just be mindful that we've got 4 white people as heroes already.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Or we would. I mean, if you wait, is that right? Christian, Emily, Noel, and then if you added him, he'd be 4 out of the 6 of that tribe would be white people, and to say that they're heroes, that's just one thing that I'm being cognizant of.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that that's why I chose Austin, because I felt like he was a Xander, but like better version, and also happened to be a person of color. So I don't know. That's part of the reason why I chose Austin, because I felt like he and Xander had a very similar thing.
Sure.
But I think with recency bias, and then also I just also think he played a way better game than Xander did. I was like, I think Austin for that archetype, so to say. But I don't know. That's just me. I'm just putting that out there.
No, like I haven't like locked this in. So like
and I'm not, and I also want to say for the record, I don't think Tyler and I are sitting back here thinking, oh yes, white people are superior in this way.
Right.
But if we're trying to come up with an actual cast idea, I think that these would be things that we would be taking into consideration.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll leave the heroes blank then, because I am blanking on who I would put in there in replace of that. So I'm gonna
I'll take that one next, because I have somebody who could.
Yeah. This is a collaborative effort at this point. So we have 1 man and 1 woman left for vigilante. What tribe, like what seasons are we like lacking in representation? We have 2 from 46.
We
Yeah.
don't have any from 35, do we? Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, we have
We do.
35, we have 30. We don't have 36.
36.
Oh, yeah, we do. We have
Dominic.
36, we have 37, we have
38.
38, we have 39. We do not have, oh, yeah, we do have 41, we have 42, we have 43, we have 44, we have
Okay.
45, we have 46. We have everything so far.
How many of 43 do we have? One, two, two already. Um, we have two from 45 as well. Okay, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick. Wait, how many do we have from 37? Shit, we already have two from 37. I really want to pick Natalie Cole for the last vigilante.
Okay, okay. I want she. Oh no, my thing's going up, guys. My
Do you need a
desk,
second?
my I put my hand on the
Oh.
desk. So no.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I tell you she was on my list for villains, I'm not even joking. Because I
Yeah,
think that she would have been so good. I am not mad at that for a vigilante pick at all, and I'm here for it.
cool. Let's lock it in.
And you know what I like about it is I do like that. I do feel like we mostly have jurors or finalists here, and I like having a couple pre-merge people.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a lot of my picks were like people that made pretty deep runs in the game, but Natalie Cole's like one of the few like pre-jury people, and plus like having her and Angelina like on this cast as a whole, like if they both make the merge, that's hilarious. The Tiffany's like a more like physical woman on this tribe, so I'm not worried about like the physicality aspect either.
And Rick and Q are also strong.
Yeah, yeah.
And Carolyn also held her own quite a few times.
Yeah.
So I actually think challenge-wise, they're good. I think they're just gonna be chaotic as hell. And I would love to see Q and Natalie get into it.
Yeah.
Because you know what's gonna happen.
I think she would add to the chaos, which is what we want for this.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. So so we have one male vigilante and one male hero left. So go ahead, Beth.
Okay, so the male hero I'm gonna go for is Jamal from Island of the Idols. Yep. So Jamal, to me, Shipman, he was an incredible player. I think that a lot of us were rooting for him, and he was somebody who like actually genuinely was like a good ally to the women on the tribe. I think he's just an incredible person and player. He has a really calm, cool, collected like personality, which invites people in. I think that he's a very socially strong person. I think he's the type of person that people would just like really want to work with. And when I look at this tribe, having him and Kelly on the same tribe would be really fun.
Yeah.
And I also think that I think Jamal and Austin would get along. I think Jamal and Christian would get along. I think Jamal and Emily would get along. I think that Jamal, like there's nobody I don't think Jamal gets along with.
I think this is a really good spot for Jamal to make a deep run in this game, to be honest. Like, I think he has a good setup here. I support this. Yeah, he is definitely a hero. All right, so for the last person on the board, I'm gonna put the last vigilante male as Chris Noble from 36. No explanation needed, right? Like we only have Dominic from Ghost Island representing. Chris is another like really infamous pre-merge dude as well. And Chris Noble, like in this tribe, would just be hilarious. So that's that's my pick. What do you think of that as the last vigilante?
I am totally fine with it because I'm going to be honest, the people who I thought would be good in that spot were people who we already had quite a few from their seasons. And I was thinking of people like Zach Wartenberger, who's like absolutely hysterical and it'd be so much fun to have a first boot on the cast, right? That was somebody I thought in that spot. I thought about Jake from 45 in that spot. I thought about Brando from 45 in that spot. I thought about Gavin.
I consider Jake.
I thought about.
Let's
sorry.
Let's just go into like our short list that didn't make it out. You know what I mean? Because we're basically talking about that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you. Let's go by category then. So like for the villains, who did you have for the men? Villain men.
So for the men that didn't make the short list, Well, okay, so here were my 5 that I had for villains. All of them but one made the cast. So these are all like people I would consider, like,
Yeah.
So I had Dominic, I had Ricard, I had Omer, I had Jesse, and I had Q.
Nice.
But I moved Q to vigilantes while we were talking this through.
Well, I did. Okay, so that makes sense because for villain men, for me, I had Q, Drew, Jesse, Ricard, Dom, and Carson.
Okay.
So, all right. What about villains women?
For villain women, I had Chrissy, Angelina, Shan, Carla, and Venus.
I had Angelina, Natalie, Shan, Emily Flippin, Venus. I didn't put Chrissy because I knew you were going to put Chrissy, so I just didn't even bother. But then I filled that last spot with Maria.
I like if I was thinking about Maria for villains, but like she's
there's so many more people I want before her. Yeah.
To me.
Plus, I mean, for me, she was like number 6 on my list, plus any of the people that you are. So she's like that far behind so many other people that we'd want to watch.
Yeah. Right. Okay, let's talk hero men. So I had Devin Pinto, Christian Hubicki, Xander Hastings, Jonathan Young, Owen Knight, and Caleb Geberwold.
I had Charlie. I had from this past season, I had Jake, Brando, Austin, Owen, and Christian.
Yeah. I wish Owen made this list. Like I would love to see Owen play again. But
me too.
Man, maybe I would consider swapping Austin for Owen.
Okay.
Just to
we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get
part.
there.
Yeah. Hero women, go ahead.
Hero women, I had Gabby, who did not get picked. I had Elaine, who did not get picked. Lauren, what's her last name? Begins with a B. From 39. It begins with a B. Lauren B. from 39 from Island of the Idols. I had Kelly Kim, Carolyn, Franny, and Katora.
I had Franny on mine too.
And I had Katora.
I had Lauren O'Connell, Kelly Kim.
She was my 7th. I took her off.
Franny, Heidi from 44, Emily Flippin, and Tiffany I had in Heroes as well. Tiffany from 46.
Yeah. I had some of those names in Vigilantes.
Yeah. Let's hear it then. So Vigilante men, go ahead.
Vigilante men, I had Matthew, the one who got injured and left the game early.
Okay.
In 44. I had Brandon from 44. Okay. I had Omer as a vigilante. I had Jamal originally as a vigilante. And I had Gavin as a vigilante.
Okay. I had Chris Noble, Rick Devins, Mike Turner from 42, Cody from 43, and Jake from 45.
I almost also considered Danny Mesa from 44.
44, yeah. I considered him too.
Because he's the type of, like, anytime who's going to fart at a challenge and be like, you smell to man, or whatever.
Oh, like, God. Yeah.
Just like that. Exactly that energy. I had Tenzin on that list. I'm sorry. Tenzin.
Okay. And then Vigilante women, I had Natalie Cole, Karishma Patel.
I had Karishma there too.
Yeah, I would really like to see her play again. I had Drea. I had Ellie Scott, my 43.
I was surprised that it was one of those things where I looked at the list and I was like, I can't believe you and I didn't choose Ellie. I was going between Tiffany and Ellie, and I said, well, if I say Tiffany, he'll probably say Ellie. So that's why I didn't say her. Then you said Natalie, and I was like, I can't deny the Natalie claim though either.
Yeah. And I also had Kendra from 45. That was my last one.
She was on my short list as well. I also had Jem on that short list because I felt like she was so innocent appearing and everything.
Yeah.
And then she just was like the most villainous and then got voted out. And like nobody really figured it out for a while, but then people did figure it out. I don't know. I just thought that whole idea was really funny and chaotic, and I would love to see her come back. But.
All right. So just to recap before we like talk about like, you know,
Oh,
are we
by the way, my
swapping?
vigilante
Oh,
women
sorry.
were Karishma. Noelle was originally a vigilante.
Uh-huh.
I actually put Franny here, and then I said Heidi, Ellie, and Tiffany.
Okay. There you go. All right. So do we want to swap anybody? Like, are we feeling good about this overall?
I'm feeling good about this. I think these three tribes, like, I think the heroes are going to get along so well, but I feel like they're going to be the type that, like, the second place team. Like, they don't ever just flat out win. They're like the second place tribe, or like the one that just, like, I don't know. I just feel like that survived. I think the villains are going to be very good in challenges. I think that they're going to be the challenge winners at a lot. And if they don't, they go to tribal. And I think vigilantes are going to be a hot mess. I don't think they're going to be good in challenges, even though they have good challengers, because they're not going to communicate well.
I think this is a really great, well-rounded cast.
Me too. I think
we did really good at this.
I think so too. I really think so.
So to recap, just for the audio-only listeners, so the Heroes tribe consists of Christian Hubicki, Austin Lee Kuhn, Jamal Shipman, Emily Flippin, Noelle Lambert, and Kelly Kim.
Woo, woo, woo.
The Villains tribe consists of Dominic Abate, Jesse Lopez, Omer Zahir, Chrissy Hoffbeck, Angelina Keeley, and Shan Smith.
Yeah.
The Vigilantes tribe consists of Q Burdett, Rick Devins, Chris Noble, Carolyn Wigler, Tiffany Irvin, and Natalie Cole.
This cast is fucking lit.
This is really good.
Okay, CBS and Paramount, just take a look on over here. What's up, Jeff Probst? We got you right here. It's your boy, Tyler and Beth, out here just doing your job for you. Look no further. Look at your cast. Look at your cast. Now, if you are either listening to this afterwards, write a review. Who do you think, based off of this cast, if you're writing it in Apple, for example, tell us who you think would win, and then also tell us how many stars you give this podcast. If you are watching this video on YouTube, tell us who do you think is the winner of this cast. Put your guesses in as a comment, and be sure to like the video. If you're in the live chat, who do you think is going to be the winner off of this cast?
Yes. So we'll be back tentatively next week to draft or like to play this out in Brantsteele. I'm going to be really in depth with like the stat changes for like physical and social and strategic, like just like representing like who like they closely are as players, and also add in any like pre-existing dynamics. So example, like the Q and Tiffany dynamic, like making sure that is being taken into account into the Brantsteele. So this will, like, what I'm saying is like it's not just like names thrown in there,
right?
Like the character profiles are going to be there. So this Brantsteele should be a really good representation of that. So like, okay, who's your winner pick for this season? Give me your winner pick and first boot.
I think first.
You good?
Can you put the tribes back up?
Yeah. Let me upload it real quick. Sorry, spitball in the meantime.
I think vigilantes are going to go to tribal first.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to choose somebody off the vigilante team, and I do think that it's Chris Noble. I think everybody else is so like chaotic that they'll just be like, you know what, fuck Chris Noble. I don't know why. I just think
I could see it being like it turning into a boys versus girls, like led by Q and Tiffany, and Chris Noble fucks it up and is the first to go home.
Yeah. I think that everybody would want to say someone like Natalie, but I really think that she won't go home first. I think
I think so. She's gonna be very like girl strong, and I think her and Tiffany could be like a really interesting, like kind of how like Sari and Michaela had like a mother-daughter dynamic. I'm not calling Natalie Sari, but like I just think the age difference between the two of them could be really like a cool alliance.
Oh yeah, I agree. And go ahead. Who do you think is first boot, and then we'll say our winner picks.
I think that I think that it would be the Vigilantes going to tribal first, and I think that Rick Devens would actually be the first one taken out, because the girls would realize that Chris Noble is no threat, but Rick Devens is an idol finder, and that's scary in an already chaotic enough tribe.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good one.
So who's the winner?
I'm good. I think it's stacked in his favor. I'm going to go with Jamal.
Okay, that's a great pick. I like it.
By the way, Thomas C in the chat said Jelinski, and I'm not going to lie, that was also somebody that was on my top 10 list for Vigilante men.
Yeah. That would be great. I'm gonna give it to Jesse Lopez. I think he would be the winner of this season.
I think it would be so much fun to see, first of all, CBS, Paramount, tell me that this cast doesn't make sense. Tell me that this idea for 50 of having 2 themes in one, both second chances and heroes versus villains versus vigilantes. I mean, I'm giving it to you on a silver platter here, people.
Yeah.
And the squeaky toy agrees.
Sorry. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for us tonight. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll let you guys know when we're going to do the Brantsteele. But have a great rest of your night. Take care, and bye-bye.